Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Clean Talk. Today, we are going to discuss a very grave topic plaguing the hospitality industry, that is single-use plastics. According to a fact sheet by Sustainable Hospitality Alliance, the increased use of single-use plastic items has become a global sustainability issue, greatly contributing to pollution and negatively impacting wildlife, as well as increasing global greenhouse gas emissions. Interestingly, roughly 50% of the annual plastic production is destined for a single-use product, and 32% of all this plastic packaging ends up in our oceans each year. Hotels commonly use single-use plastic items within their operations, and this episode is all about eliminating them. To discuss this, we have with us Ms. Tatjana Ahmed, Director of Housekeeping at Grand Hyatt, Dubai, and Chairperson of the UAE Housekeepers Association. Welcome to this episode of the Clean Talk, Tatjana.
Thank you so much for having me.
Without much ado, let's begin the conversation with a very basic but important question. Why should hotels address the issue of single-use plastics?
Well, that's a very good question. Thank you. Hotels should address the issue of single-use plastic for several reasons. Firstly, for the environmental impact. Single-use plastics contribute significantly to pollution, harming ecosystems, marine life, and human health. Secondly, there is a consumer demand. Many travelers are becoming increasingly eco-conscious and prefer hotels to demonstrate environmental responsibility. And of course, there's cost saving. Transitioning to sustainable alternatives can lead to long-term cost savings by reducing the need for single-use plastics and associated waste management. Also, brand reputation plays a role here. Hotels that prioritize sustainability and environmental stewardship can enhance their brand reputation and attract environmental conscious guests. And compliance set by governments. Worldwide, governments are implementing regulations to reduce single-use plastics, and the UAE is no exception here. And hotels need to comply with these regulations to avoid penalties and maintain their operations.
But when we talk about eliminating single-use plastics, do we have any alternatives to single-use plastics? And if yes, how economical are they?
Hotels have several alternatives to single-use plastics, including refillable toiletry dispensers for shampoo, conditioner, and body wash, biodegradable or compostable alternatives for items like cups, straws, and cutlery, reusable glass or stainless steel water bottles instead of plastic ones, bamboo or wooden toothbrushes and combs, cloth bags instead of plastic ones, bulk amenities like sugar and cream in dining areas rather than individual packets, digital solutions such as electronic room keys to replace plastic key cards, offering guests an option to decline amenities like single-use slippers or plastic-wrapped newspapers, composting food waste instead of using plastic garbage bags in kitchen areas, providing guests with reusable shopping bags for local outings, just to name a few.
And what steps have you taken to reduce or even eliminate single-use plastics from your hotel?
Reducing or eliminating single-use plastic in a hotel can provide several steps, And firstly, we have made an audit and assessed our situation. Identify areas where single-use plastic is commonly used, such as toiletries, water bottles, straws, and packaging. Then searching for replacement with alternatives to substitute single-use plastics with sustainable alternatives like refillable dispensers for toiletries, glass or metal water bottles, paper or bamboo straws, and compostable or biodegradable packaging. Education of staff and guests also play an important role when attempting to reduce single-use plastic. We train our staff on the importance of reducing plastic waste and educate guests on the hotel's efforts to minimize single-use plastic. We partner and collaborate with suppliers to source eco-friendly products and packaging. We encourage them to reduce or eliminate plastic in their packaging and shipping materials. We also implement recycling and composting programs. We set up recycling and composting stations throughout the hotel to properly dispose and recycle our organic waste. We also provide incentives for staff who participate in plastic recycling efforts, like giving them vouchers to use in our restaurants or vouchers for shopping malls. It is important to monitor and track progress. We regularly monitor and track the hotel's plastic usage and waste reduction programs, and we use this data to identify areas for improvement and set new goals. We engage with local organizations and initiatives focused on plastic reduction and environmental sustainability. We participate in community cleanup events and support advocacy efforts for plastic-free initiatives. I think by implementing these steps, hotels can significantly reduce or eliminate single plastic use, contributing to a more sustainable and environmental friendly operation.
And does elimination of single-use plastics have any impact on guest experience, particularly in terms of their hygiene concerns?
Eliminating single-use plastics can have a positive impact on guest experience by demonstrating a commitment to environmental sustainability. While there may be initial concerns about hygiene, alternative solutions such as biodegradable or reusable materials can address these worries efficiently. Providing clear communication and education about these changes can help guests understand the benefits and adjust their expectations accordingly.
What role do partnerships with suppliers and vendors play in your efforts to eliminate single-use plastics, and how do you ensure that alternatives are both sustainable and cost-effective at the same time?
Yes, partnerships with suppliers and vendors are crucial in eliminating single-use plastics because they allow for collaboration on sourcing sustainable alternatives and implementing them effectively. By working closely with suppliers, businesses can identify and evaluate sustainable options, negotiate pricing, and ensure the quality and availability of alternatives. Additionally, these partnerships can facilitate the development of innovative solutions and techniques to address specific needs. For example, conduct thorough assessment of potential suppliers to ensure they meet sustainability criteria and offer competitive pricing. Evaluate the environmental impact of alternative materials through the life cycle to ensure they are truly sustainable. Conduct cost-benefit analysis to compare the long-term financial implications of using alternatives versus traditional plastic products. Negotiate volume commitments with suppliers to secure lower prices for sustainable alternatives, and work with suppliers to continually improve process and materials to enhance the sustainability and cost effectiveness over time. By integrating sustainability into supplier relationships and adapting strategic approach to sourcing alternatives, hotel can effectively eliminate single-use plastics while maintaining cost efficiency.
Wonderful. And now, Tatjana, you spoke about educating the staff members. In what ways do you engage and educate both staff members and also the guests about the importance of reducing single-use plastics? And how do you measure the effectiveness of these educational efforts in driving behavioral change?
Yes, first of all, we are conducting regular training sessions for our staff to educate them about the environmental impact of single-use plastics and provide them with alternatives and best practices for reducing plastic waste. We also display informative posters, brochures, and digital screens in common areas to raise awareness among both staff and guests about the importance of reducing single-use plastic and how they can contribute. We utilize internal communication channels such as newsletters and emails, regularly remind the staff about the organization's commitment to reduce plastic waste, and share success stories and tips for minimizing plastic usage. We also collaborate with environmental organizations and for local initiatives to host workshops, events, and campaigns focused on plastic reduction, engaging both staff and guests in hands-on activities or discussions. We also offer alternatives to single-use plastics, such as reusable water bottles, refill stations, and biodegradable and compostable packaging options in guest amenities and food and beverage services. To measure the effectiveness of these educational efforts in driving behavioral change, we conduct surveys among staff and guests to gauge The awareness levels, attitudes, and the behaviors regarding single-use plastics before and after implementing educational campaigns. We monitor consumption patterns and disposal practices to assess any changes in behavior, such as increased use of reusable items or decreased use of single-use plastics. We regularly conduct waste audits to quantify the amount of single-use plastics being generated and we track the reductions over time as a result of educational efforts. It is also important to establish a feedback mechanism for staff and guests to provide input on the effectiveness of educational initiatives and suggest further improvements or areas of focus, and also to set specific KPIs related to plastic waste reduction, such as percentage reduction in single-use plastic usage or increased adoption of reusable alternatives, and track progress towards these goals.
Wonderful. And one last question. If I were to ask you to summarize 4 ways to reduce plastic usage in hotels.
Yeah, very good question. Hotels can switch to refillable dispensers for toiletries like shampoo, conditioner, and soap instead of single-use plastic bottles, reducing the amount of plastic waste generated by guests. We provide guests with reusable water bottles that they can refill at water stations through filtered water systems. That helps to reduce the need of single-use plastic water bottles in hotel rooms as well. Hotels can opt for sustainable packaging for amenities and products offered to guests, such as using biodegradable or compostable materials instead of plastic wrapping or containers. Educating guests about the hotel's commitment to sustainability and encouraging them to participate in initiatives like towel and linen reuse programs can help reduce overall plastic usage during their stay, especially for hotels which outsource their linens, as often they are returned to the hotels in plastic wrap.
Thank you, Tatjana. With that, we conclude this episode. Thank you for this amazing and enlightening session.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Likewise. And to all our listeners, if you found this episode interesting, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and spread the word. Until next time.